If you've been seeing Venezuela in the news lately and wondering what's actually going on, let me break it down for you. This is Venezuela. It's one of Latin America's richest oil producers and is now the center of a major geopolitical crisis involving the United States, oil, drugs, and the threat of military conflict. So today we'll break down what's actually happening, why it matters, and what both sides are saying. Now, on December 21st, 2025, the US Coast Guard and military began pursuing a third oil tanker suspected of helping Venezuela evade US sanctions by disguising its oil shipments, part of what officials call Venezuela's shadow fleet. This follows the seizure of two other vessels, the Skipper and the Centuries, near Venezuelan waters. Now, this effort is part of a much larger pressure campaign announced by President Donald Trump, including a total and complete blockade on sanctioned tankers entering or leaving Venezuela. Since September 2025, the US military has launched dozens of lethal strikes on vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific, and it says that they're linked to drug trafficking. These strikes are part of Operation Southern Spear, aimed at what the US calls narco-terrorism. According to independent reports, so far at least 28 strikes have been carried out, and these strikes are reported to have killed over 100 people aboard the targeted boats. The US has seized 3 oil tankers as of late December 2025. And although the tanker seizures haven't resulted in reported deaths, the lethal strikes on boats have. Numbers that are contested by Venezuela and human rights activists. So why is Trump doing this? Basically, his administration claims that its actions are about drugs, security, and money. The US describes the conflict as a mission to dismantle so-called narco-terrorist networks, including Venezuelan groups allegedly trafficking drugs towards the United States. The tanker blockade and seizures are meant to cut off oil revenue, which the US says funds criminal activities. Trump has openly refused to rule out war with Venezuela and signaled that his goal includes removing Nicolas Maduro from power. Critics, including some US lawmakers, argue that Trump's actions go beyond drugs and instead aim at regime change by crippling Venezuela's key economic sector, which is oil. To understand the US rhetoric around drugs, we need context. The United States continues to struggle with one of the world's most severe drug overdose crises. In recent years, tens of thousands of Americans died annually from synthetic opioids like fentanyl. While precise 2025 overdose figures are still being compiled, prior trends show significant numbers of fatalities due to synthetic opioids. But according to reports, most fentanyl's precursor chemicals and finished doses entering the US come across the Mexican border and not directly from Venezuela. Mexico, which is home to powerful cartels, is the principal source of illicit fentanyl consumed in the US since many years. According to the US Drug Enforcement Administration, most of the illicit fentanyl consumed in the US originates through Mexican trafficking networks. Despite this, the Trump administration has used the term narco-terrorism to describe Venezuela's alleged role in supporting drug trafficking, a claim that many analysts say is largely unproven and is being used to justify broader military pressure. Venezuela's government rejects the US narrative entirely. President Nicolas Maduro and his officials call the blockade and tanker seizures acts of aggression or piracy. They accuse the United States of seeking to steal Venezuelan oil and overthrow their government. To Venezuelans who support Maduro, the crisis is portrayed as resistance to imperialism, a continuation of decades-long tension between the US and Venezuela dating back to the Chavez era. One of the most controversial aspects of US military activity near Venezuela involves accusations that innocent civilians have died during maritime strikes. Venezuela and allied nations have demanded investigations and taken the issue to international bodies like the United Nations, arguing that US actions violate the UN Charter.